Welcome. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lamonts G Custom Live Show, the number 3 podcast. Um, as I gave you guys a preview on the last podcast, um, this may not be relevant to a lot of people, so I don't anticipate getting a lot of traction on this podcast because it's not relevant, to the majority of the people. But it was brought up in a recent conversation, several conversations, so I'm going to speak on it. And like I said earlier, as I alluded to in a previous podcast, um, it's about Greek life, fraternities and sororities. Now, I'm only going to speak on the collegiate college fraternities and sororities. I know there's a lot of social savings clubs out there. I'm not speaking on any of them. This is primarily on Greek life, fraternity sororities, and secret societies like Masonry and Shriners and etc. So let's dive into it. But let me give full disclosure. Yes, I was a Greek member, part of a fraternity in college. I was for a long time part of the Masons, third degree Mason. Um, my spirituality, my spiritual journey, my journey in Christianity has taken me away from that um, for many reasons, and I'll get into it, once I start talking about some things. But I'm not saying anybody is wrong for doing anything. To each his own. You take you where your spiritual journey takes you. In my spiritual journey, I had to leave these things alone and concentrate on my Christianity. And that's where I am in life. That's where I've been for the last 10, 15 years. So just want to get that out of the way. But this topic came up, and I was speaking to a gentleman. I can't remember what fraternity out of GSU he was a part of. But I asked him, I was like, I have never, in my 53 years of living, seen a white woman representing her colors, her letters. I've never seen a white woman on this earth representing anything Greek. Or when they were in college, and they was part of a sorority. I never seen it. And it baffles me because now this is a white dude I was talking to, and he was part of a fraternity. I can't remember which one, but even he don't. He left it behind when he was in school, and pretty much he said when it comes to white Greek fraternities and sororities, once they graduate, that life is gone. They have full access to any house or organization in the country. But as far as that life, it's over. And that baffled me because in the black community, when it comes to Greek life, they die with them colors. They die with them letters. And I mean die. My auntie, she really wasn't my aunt, she was my mom's best friend, Mrs. Rittenhouse. She was an AKA. She was over she had some dealings with the national chapter, but I know she was over the local chapter of the AKAs. And she lived it 24/7, 365 days a year. That pink and green. That was her thing, man. And she was one of the primary reasons why I was intrigued when I was a kid. And I seen my mom's best friend. I don't think my mom. She might have been AK. She never talked about it, never wore the colors or anything like that. But all her friends were. And you see back then the older black females, even now the older black females, they're gonna have a keychain, an umbrella, a tag, uh, uh, what they call the thing, put you around like um, hell, the thing that you put your ID or whatever on, can't remember that name of it, but anyway, they show their colors and their letters every day, all the time. My wife is one of them. She's a part of the Delta Sigma Theta, and everything she on, from bedspreads to blankets, bed sheets, car insignia, tags, license plate, everything. Her purse, her briefcase, everything is Delta. Everything. And her brother's best friend, he's a Q dog. This Joker got purple and gold socks. This dude got purple and gold hats, jackets, boots, you name it. Everything is Omega Sapphire. And I'm gonna be honest with you, from 18 to 26, 27, I lived it. I lived that life. I was a part of that life. I enjoyed that life. I have no regrets, none whatsoever. Even after I got out of school and all that good stuff, and I got into masonry. I belonged to something, and I felt like in college, and I spoke on this last time. At that point, I had to belong to something. You had to belong to something. And as you go on that journey, you finish school, you get away from that life, you go on to real life, you start working, but you still want to belong to something. So I was a Mason, since 2000, I want to say 2000, 2001, something like that. And I enjoyed it. I really did. What we did for the community, what we did, for the area, it was wonderful. It was great, and I have no regrets. But like I said, me personally, my spiritual journey, my Christian journey, has taken me in a different direction. Now, you can get on YouTube and other platforms, and you'll have a lot of people, talking about, you shouldn't be serving these Greek gods, and masonry is full of evil once you get past a certain point, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. I'm not defending it, and I'm not taking up for it. I'm not going against it. To each his own. But as for me, I don't regret anything I've done in the past when it comes to Greek or secret society masonry. I just don't. I don't. But the topic of this podcast is what. Why does it differ when it comes to the white culture in Greek life and the black culture in Greek life? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I've talked to my white buddies. I got a friend. He was part of Delta Chi down at Livingston University. One of my best friends, man, and they did some wild stuff. Wild stuff. But that was back in 91, 92, I want to say. But he doesn't. Delta Chi just it's in his past. It doesn't mean anything. I wanted to get a white girl, a white woman's perspective, but I don't know any. Never met one in my life. Never. So I can't get that perspective. So I don't feel like I'm doing justice to this conversation. Because if you don't get all perspectives, you're not really doing it justice. So, but I can only speak for my white buddies and their life in Greek when they were young. My black buddies, because many of them were still friends. Q Dog, I love all y'all guys, man. Um, our perspective from Greek life, and like I said, my wife and many of my mom's friends were in sororities, so I already know their perspectives. So, and I jotted a few things down, so I'm gonna have to read a little bit. But let me start here and let me say when it comes to pledging and rush and preparation and probate and all that thing. It differs from the white fraternities. I've seen a lot of them guys. They did stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. I think in the early days, it was all alcohol, sex, and that type of thing. But as far as the rush, I've seen the guys at Delta Chi swim across Lake LU when it was freezing. A guy that I work with, he's a alpha, and their chapter at Jackson State was actually under scrutiny. Matter of fact, a lot of them went to jail. I want to say an individual doing rush got alcohol poisoning or damn near died or something like that, and they were under scrutiny and suspension for a while. And it's been like that. I mean, we're talking about young kids, man, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, man. And so that type of things happen, but it's different, fundamentally different when it comes to the African Americans and, the Caucasians in Rush is different. Um, one of the chapters that was at Caledonia College in Mississippi, they the Omega Psi Phi, I think it was, I can't remember the chapter name, but it was Omega Psi Phi. They were online 6 months. Now, I don't think you're gonna see any Caucasian Greeks and sororities online for 6 months. That's a long time. And um, like I said, I don't know if anything happened. That was 30, 40 years ago, but that's a long time to be online. A white fraternity or sorority, they pretty much gonna be, online, probably every couple of weeks at the most. So yeah, when it comes to the different chapters, like I'm just gonna use the universities in Alabama as an example. Like when it comes to black fraternities, you go to Alabama State, you go to Miles, you go to Tuskegee. There's not gonna be too much different. Too many things that are different. You're just on a different campus. I've I have visited all of those campuses. I have visited for different events, different functions. The only one in the African American College, HBCU in Alabama, that I have not visited it doing a Greek function was Alabama A&M in Huntsville. I've never been there for a function. Um, but all the others, Alabama State, Miles, Tuskegee, what's the one in Tuscaloosa? Stillman. I've been to all of them. Enjoyed all of them. Matter of fact, when I was going through my little stint, we were up at Stillman for a minute. We had to do some things at Stillman, and it wasn't fun. It was great, but it wasn't fun at the time. But my Caucasian buddies who were at um, Jacksonville State, Livingston, University of Alabama, and Auburn, it was just different. They all had houses on campus. I don't remember at these specific universities any black frats having houses on campus. Everything was off campus, and it was just different, man. But it's college. It's college. It's university life. It's 18 to 24-year-olds drinking, having fun. Doing this, doing that. And that's what That's what you're supposed to do. When you're that young, man. When you're in school. I didn't deter any of my kids from wanting to be a part of that. Thank God they were not. None of them. And I still got a 16-year-old. I don't know what she's going to be into, but none of them wanted to be a part of the Greek life, and I'm thankful for that. Not saying that it was bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there are risks. The risks were greater back in my day. You had a lot of frats getting kicked off campus, man. Sigmas, alphas, omegas that getting kicked off campus for stupid stuff. A lot of kids were fathered through Greek life. A lot of bad things, occurred through Greek life, but a lot of good things too. Because one thing that I learned, when you be a part of these organizations, you work for your university, you work for your communities, you do things charitable things for your communities, man. And that's one great thing that I can say that I don't know how it is today. I don't. I'm 53. Yeah, I've been out of that life 30 plus years, man. But back in my day, there was a lot done for through the fraternities and sororities. Now, let me tell you a story on how I got abreast to the white fraternities. and sororities. Now I told you about my mom and her friends. You know, I was abreast to that early in life, 3 4 years old. But I remember watching a movie back in the '80s called Fraternity Vacation, about a group of guys, part of a white fraternity. They went to Fort Lauderdale or Palm Beach or somewhere for spring break. And that movie showed me a lot about, okay, this is what white people do, fraternities and sororities on spring break, drink beer, have fun. So the movie, which is one of my favorite of all time, called The Revenge of the Nerds. And in The Revenge of the Nerds probably taught me more about white Greek life than any. Because if you remember, in this movie, it started out as, the two nerds getting ready to prepare fraternity doing stupid shit. Big Ogre had a guy hanging off the building, and he saw these nerds. He started saying, "Nerds, nerds," and it went on from there. They was drinking, partying, and for that particular fraternity, that's what they did the whole damn movie. Besides playing football, didn't see them go to class at all. And I think on the Revenge of the Nerds 2, the spring break version was pretty much like the fraternity vacation movie, where they go to Fort Lauderdale or some beach and they drinking and partying and doing what white fraternities do. And if you can remember, listen, I don't know if these fraternities were fictional or were they real. I don't know. I'm not one familiar with any of them. And I think the nerds to be a part of the campus organizations, they had to petition for a chapter, and they petitioned for all the damn Greek chapters. Nobody accepted them except for Lambda, 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 and Lambda, Lambda, Lambda happened to be a black fraternity, and they were accepted. And the rest is history. If you haven't watched that movie, God bless you. That's one of the greatest movies of all time. I think it came out in '84, '85, something like that. It was just wonderful. Revenge of the Nerds. But that's how I learned about white fraternity life. Early in my days when I was 12, 13, 14. That's how I learned about that. It was a little bit different once you got on campus, but they did the same stupid shit. Drunk beer, had sex, that type of thing. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to speak on this because out of all the babble I just talked about, to this day, I still have not seen a white female sorority member. Ever. Ever. And as I alluded to yesterday in the preview of this podcast, I've been a lot of places, man, and I have never, ever, ever seen one, which is incredible. And at my age now, meeting different people, they don't advertise it. So I don't know if Susie Joe here was Omega Pi or Pi Omega or what, because they don't advertise it. But I went to school, I went to high school with a couple of females, black females, and just like my wife, they're all deltas. They go to different balls. They do this, they do that. They go to the Omega ball. They go to this ball. It's incredible. Black folks will die with their colors, and they will, and it's incredible. But like I said, this is not meant to put anybody down, to second guess anybody, to say, "Hey, I'm right, you're wrong." No, this is not for that. I am on a spiritual journey, a Christian journey. When people look at me, I want them to say, "That's Harvey Lamont Richard. He's a Christian. He's a child of God. He's a believer in God. Not the Mason, not that he was Omega Psi, not that he was this, not he was that. That he's a Christian. That's the most important thing in my life. That's how people want people to see me now. A lot of people, when they see me, they reference, "Oh man, you played football, man. You one of the best I've ever seen in my life." Thank you, thank you. And that's really important to me. It really is, because what I did back in the, when I on the football field really meant something to me. That was achievements that I personally care about. But eternally, for eternity, my Christianity is all that really matters, man. My belief in God, my love for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that really matters. But listen, I hope you enjoyed this. Something simple, something that been on my mind, and I talked about it, had conversations with. But listen, please let me know. Please let me know. Somebody, if your wife was a white sorority member, or if your friend was a white sorority member, just give me some feedback, please. I want to know. I want to know so bad. I've gotten the answer from white guys who were part of fraternities that both white, both female and male, when it comes to white, when it comes to that sorority and fraternity Greek life, it's gone once they leave school. So I understand that. But I don't have a perspective of what it was like from a white female. I know my wife, she actually pledged when she was at either Troy State or Alabama State, I can't remember. And that particular chapter had to go on probation, so they didn't finish the probate. So she pledged the grad chapter after we had married. But she did give me a perspective on what it is life on campus as a black female Greek. I don't have that perspective from a white woman, and I just want to know. I got a curious mind. I'm sorry, but anyway, like I said earlier, hope you guys enjoy this. I appreciate you and I love you, and um, yeah, just stay blessed, man. I got plenty of other things to say on this, but I'm gonna leave it for another day. I think I done said enough on this one. But I'm pretty sure many of my classmates and former classmates will see this and call me an idiot. It is what it is. I am. I'm the big. I love you, and that's all that really matters. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, you guys stay blessed, and I'll catch you next time.